Hi there makers, it is Jo here today, and today I'm going to be doing a learn to sew tutorial. I'm going to be looking at stretch bindings. So you might buy bias binding to put on the inside of tops and blouses, or use it around hems and the bottom of cuffs, for example. But today I wanted to think about using a stretch binding. So you can get binding tapes which are a t-shirt fabric, and they're really useful when you're working with jersey or stretch fabrics. Today I'm going to show 3 little techniques that you might use in some of your sewing. You could take it to different projects and switch in and out. I'm going to show you how to bind the back of a t-shirt neck so that you don't have any raw edge and it's really nice and flush and professional. I'm going to show you how to bind the edge of an easy fit sweater knit sweatshirt top. And I'm also going to show you how to use a different fabric to get a really stretchy hem if you want to bind a t-shirt or something fitted. That's for me. Let's crack on with the techniques. The first one is the back of a t-shirt. To bind the inside back neck of a t-shirt, you could overlock around inside here and you'd have a perfectly neat top that would last a long time, but you might want to bind that back neck for a couple of reasons. One, you don't have an overlocker. Two, this is a little bit sensitive across your back neck, or you really just like how neat it looks when you have from shoulder to shoulder bound in your t-shirt. You can use a woven fabric and cut it on the bias so it's got a little bit of stretch, or you can use the t-shirt binding that's even stretchier, so it'll depend what shape your neck hole is. If you have a large open sort of boat neck shape, then you might want to use the woven one to stabilize the back neck a little bit so it doesn't fall off your shoulders, or you might want it to be really stretchy if you've got a small neck hole like on this t-shirt. So let's bind from neck to neck, and at this point you could add a label too. Take your piece of binding, whether it's a ready-made one or if you've cut one out of your jersey scraps from your t-shirt, and with your t-shirt inside out, you're going to put the right side of your binding to the inside of your top. And you can add as much ease here as you like. So I don't want to pull this in because it's already quite a closed neck t-shirt, so I'm letting that just lie flat with the fabric. I'm pinning it in place, and I've got a little fold over on the end that is just 1 centimetre so that I don't have any raw edges. And at the end I'm allowing enough fabric to turn over another 1 centimetre, and that is matching with my shoulder seam. I've pinned vertically because I won't sew from this side. I'll sew from this side so that I can make sure that I'm enclosing the seam line that holds all of the layers together. That way I can make sure I'm not getting any tucks, which I would have got there. And I can sew just below that line. So I've done it in a darker colour so that you can see I've made my stitch line below the previous one, and now I can fold this over to enclose the raw edge. So you'll be pulling the binding over the raw edge and then pinning it in place. And you'll need to make sure that the end is folded over so that you have enclosed all of your raw edges. You want to make this distance equal, so I've got it a little bit big there, so I'm just going to trim out a little bit of that fabric. A little bit too much bulk. And I'll continue this around to here, and then I'll show you how to sew it. You start at the shoulder seam and you're going to sew right on the edge of that binding that you've rolled over. You need to go quite slowly because it is a stretchy fabric, and you want to make sure that you're not putting any ripples in the back. You won't really know that you've done that with your eyes, you're going to need to watch the fabric and feel with your fingers. Once it's done, you get that really neat professional finish. So from this side you don't have any raw edges, and from the back you have a stitch line that runs from shoulder to shoulder. You can, if you want to, join that line of stitching in and add a layer of top stitching on the front, but I want this one to be plain. I really like the finish of that navy red and white. Second up, I am using a stretch binding to bind the edge of a Amara vest. It's a top with a sweater knit that's a little bit unravelly and bulky, so I don't want to just fold up the hem. I want something a little bit more professional that will work in with the rest of the print on the fabric. On this knit fabric, I'm going to use a stretch binding. So this isn't just stretch from mechanical stretch because it's cut on the bias, it's actually made of a stretch jersey as well, so it's got a bit of extra recovery. Really useful for if you're pulling your top over your head. This is the Amara vest and I've made it in a sweater knit, so it doesn't need to have loads of stretch along the bottom because there's lots of ease, but it's a really good one to show a nice long length for attaching a binding. You can put it on in 2 passes if you want, or you can fold it over the edge and sew it in 1 pass. It depends how wide your binding is. The key is to make sure that your binding is not overstretched or not loose, but you mustn't stretch your work. If you stretch your work, you'll get a really wavy hem. So you need to use your finger and your thumb to keep a slight tension on the binding, but no tension at all on the garment. You'll find pinning vertically useful for this because you can sew it from the other side and remove the pins. You can see it and feel it to see if you've stretched the fabric out of shape on this right side. If you're applying any kind of stretch binding, whether you've made it yourself or you've bought it ready-made, it's a good idea to apply it with a Mariflex thread because then you'll keep the stretch integrity of the fabric. You put Mariflex in the bobbin as well, and you can see a full video on this if you want to see the thread in action. Once you've done the first pass, so you've got the binding attached to the inside, you can then fold it over to the right side. It's always better to sew from the right side so that you can check the finish of your stitch line and positioning. If you sew it from the other side, you're sewing blind, so you won't always be sure that your stitch line is right on the edge of the binding. Depending on what you're making, you might choose to have a zigzag finish. So on here, I could have a stitch line close to the edge that's straight, or I could zigzag, and that way I would get more stretch in my fabric. I'm sewing really close to the edge of the binding, making sure that I'm not revealing the first row of stitching. You can see it's just starting to reveal itself there, so keep everything folded out the way. You can use this technique on hems, around armholes and neckholes. This is the Amara vest from Tessuti Patterns, and you can use a stretch binding to add to any kind of base cloth here, sweater knits, French terry, any kind of speciality knit, cotton jersey. I'll show you a different way in case you want to have more stretch in your hem. So for example, if you have a fitted t-shirt. Finally, I'm going to use a rib knit. That will give me lots of stretch if I want to make a fitted garment. This final way is similar to the last one, but it's all about your fabric choice. So this is a rib knit fabric, and this has a lot of stretch. So if you want your top to still have lots of stretch because it's fitted, then you'll need a fabric that is very stretchy. So you could use the same, or you could bind with a different colour. I'm going to do a different colour so that you can see what's happening. So imagine this is the bottom of a sleeve. And it's really good, this binding technique, if you turned your sleeve up, your sleeve would be too short. So if you get caught a little bit short for hemming either on the bottom of a top or for the length of sleeves, you can try a stretch binding. So you're going to use the same kind of principles, but this time you're going to stretch just the binding. You're going to stretch it and add a pin. When we did the one on the Amara vest, we didn't stretch it, so when it was sewn down it remained quite stable, but this will be still stretchy. You can see I'm taking up some of the slack of the fabric there. You need to try and keep the same amount of ease, and the way to do that is to pin evenly and check you're having about the same amount of fabric. If you do a pin here and one here, you can see this one is very stretched and this one not so much. So try and keep the same amount of stretch and tension on your rib fabric. This is also a good technique if you've got a curved hem. So if you've got a long sleeve t-shirt with a curved hem, you can take this really smoothly around the front curve and around any sort of shirt style hems at the sides. Okay, we're going to take that through the machine. And we don't want to overstretch our main fabric, but we do just want to take that ripple out. So in order for me to get from this pin to this pin, I'm just going to need to take up that little bit of ease that I put in with the pins. I don't want to stretch it like this. If I do, I'll get a wavy, wobbly hem. If I don't, I'll end up getting a little tuck in the back. So I just need to add the same amount of tension that I added when I put the ribbing on. You can see I've got a little bit of rippling, but that's to be expected because I have had my fabric slightly under tension. And from the other side, you can see I've taken up a little bit of slack from the main fabric. And now, just like we did for the other binding, we're going to pull the binding over, but I thought I'd show a method that didn't use an overlocker. So we're going to take that up and stitch in the ditch. Don't worry about this here, we're going to trim that off later. We want to make sure that the distance we hold here is the same along the whole length of what we will see on the right side. A little press helps because that gets everything steamed and sets the stitches. And now we're going to flip this over and use a seam gauge to make sure we're getting the same distance all the way along. We need to pin from the right side because we're going to stitch from the right side when we stitch in the ditch. On the back, you'll trim away the spare fabric. This will reduce bulk and make everything really neat. I've used a different colour thread, obviously, so you might want to choose a navy for the top spool and a purple in this case for the bobbin. So this one is much stretchier, so if you were using this around the hem of a rear ringer t-shirt, for example, it will be a lot stretchier. The key is having a fabric for the binding that is really stretchy and has a good stretch recovery. Rib knit is great. Sometimes I buy a little bit of navy rib knit or white rib knit, and I use it for t-shirt necklines, for binding the edges of sweatshirts, especially sweatshirts where I don't want to put a deep rib on the bottom. I want it to be more of a long sleeved t-shirt, but for a winter wear. So that's a second option, and it's particularly good if you don't have an overlocker and you just want to make the edge really neat. I hope you have enjoyed today and you can take one of those tips through to one of your own sewing projects. We would love to see any projects that you have been up to, so do head over to Minerva, make a free account there and share your makes, give a photograph, write a little sewing diary for yourself. It's a great way of checking back in and out with your sewing projects. You can also be inspired by other Minerva makers. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.